Secretary of Transportation was in town this past week, and he took a moment to speak with us before heading back to the other Washington. We'll have what he said when the Northwest Politicast returns in just a moment. Welcome back to the Northwest Politicast. I'm Jeff Pogela. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was in King County this past week. He announced a grant program meant to help local communities remove and repair fish culverts found under roads that can prevent salmon and other fish from passing.
And these communities have been working to fix issues around culverts and restore population for years, knowing that these solutions matter, but always finding some kind of impediment blocking their way. Often they, too, were swimming upstream, often because of lack of funding.
Secretary Buttigieg took a moment out of his busy schedule to talk with our morning hosts, Greg Herschelt and Manda Factor.
I'll be honest, when I first took this job, I knew I'd be working on roads and bridges and ferries and transit and airports. I wasn't thinking a whole lot about culverts, but I should have been. It's a very important thing, especially in this region where fisheries are an incredibly important part of the economy and the way of life. What happened was when they built out the road network around here, especially in the 60s and 70s, they ran the water under the roads, but they didn't do it in a way that works for fish. It's actually blocking a lot of salmon migration. So one of the many, many things in the president's bipartisan infrastructure package, something that local leaders like Senators Cantwell and Murray insisted be in that package, is a fund that's going to allow us to fix and replace these culverts, allowing these salmon and other fish to migrate to where they need to be. And again, that matters not just if you happen to enjoy recreational fishing, but it's a big deal for the whole economy of the region. It's a big deal for tribal communities, and just one of many things people might not know about coming to Washington State thanks to this legislation.
What was your main takeaway from your trip to our part of the country?
Well, you see so many things that remind us why transportation is important. The culverts in King County, for sure. We were out in Wenatchee yesterday talking with growers and learning about the importance for agricultural exports of having strong supply chains and good transportation. And we're doing a major investment in the Apple Capital Loop out there in Wenatchee. Also great to be here in the Seattle area and see some of the impact of the investments we're making here and where the needs are. We're doing a grant to the Seattle-Tacoma Airport to improve that. I'm going to be taking a look later today at the Port of Tacoma that's so important. We spent our share of time, as you might imagine, during this trip on I-5 and I-90. We're making improvements there. So good just to get a feeling on the ground about the work. And then we had an important conversation yesterday about workforce, too, and making sure people who have been historically excluded from a chance to get these great paying construction jobs are ready to join the workforce at a time when, frankly, we're going to need to recruit as many great workers as we can to get all of this construction done over the next 5 years.
You mentioned Senator Murray, and her Republican opponent issued a statement saying that Murray is not an infrastructure builder. She's an infrastructure wrecker by insisting on breaching Snake River dams, and her Republican opponent says that would be very damaging to the state economy. How do you view that?
Well, I don't know everything about the issue of the dams, but I definitely know that Senator Murray is big on building infrastructure because I've sat across from her in committee hearings where she is asking me directly how our department can do more and move quickly to make sure that the infrastructure needs of her state, this state, are being met. I have enormous respect for the work that she has done as one of the leaders, including a very important role as a member of the Appropriations Committee, which means guiding a lot of the funding for the whole country, but certainly with an eye toward what matters here in Washington State. I think with voices like hers and people on both sides of the aisle, making sure that our department gets the resources it needs and is frankly accountable for getting good results. That's a very important part of how the system works.
I've noticed that you've been several times on conservative cable networks like Fox News defending the administration's policies and responding to some tough questions. Do you think you're able to change any minds by making those appearances?
I hope so. I'm not under any illusion that 5 minutes of listening to me might change somebody's whole worldview. But so much of the stuff we're working on isn't political, or at least it doesn't have to be political. And I think that's especially true with transportation. Of course, we're going to have differences of opinion about important issues related to how we do this work. But fundamentally, you need to be able to get to where you're going. You need good roads, you need good bridges, you need good transit. We need to do something to make our communities and economies more resilient. I don't think you have to be in my political party to believe that climate change is real, or to recognize that we need to have technologies of the future, not just of the past, when it comes to how we do transportation. So I want to tell that story to anybody who will listen. I got started as a mayor, and definitely when you're a mayor, filling potholes, picking up the trash, you don't check to see if somebody's a Democrat or Republican before you find out about their problem and do what you can to help. And I'm trying to bring that same attitude to Washington. I know that's how the president thinks about things too, and he's very clearly directed his cabinet and his administration to solve problems for people, whether it's left, right, or center.
That's U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg with Northwest News Radio's Greg Herschel in manufacture. Now we have